How many children go missing in Africa, say, every month?
I learned from a gentleman with a very logical mind, a gentleman who later told me that he was a Freemason, or he is a Freemason, that well over 4,000 children disappear in South Africa every month.
When you were talking earlier about human sacrifice and longevity, it's quite a thought, the number of Illuminati people who have come up in my research again and again, who live remarkably long lives. People that come to mind, and not just long lives, but fit lives for most of it. One that comes to mind immediately is Henry Kissinger and George Bush. And then, although she's getting frail now, the Queen Mother in England, these are people that come up in my research, and they live long lives. It's quite a coincidence.
You know, sir, in this life there is no such a thing as a coincidence.
I know.
These people like these, somehow rejuvenate themselves. I do not want to know exactly how. But when you see a man like Dr. Kissing, a man who seems to be a very rock of immortality, a man who has changed little since the days of the Second World War, the man who was the leader of this man, namely President Eisenhower, is dead long ago, but Kissinger is still alive, going strong. I would like to point out a very interesting thing to you, sir, that in black communities, especially nowadays, people of extreme old age who still remain active in spite of their old age become targets of witch hunters. They become victims of witchcraft killers. My stepmother is today 98 years old, and at one time a group of young religious fanatics wanted to kill her as a witch because she was so old and had never been sick.
Does it frustrate you, Credo, when you look across this history of Africa that we're talking about to the present day, at how at times the black people of Africa have allowed themselves to be manipulated so often easily?
Yes, sir. It makes my heart to bleed, but at the same time, this is one of the proofs of the fact that in this world we are not the masters of our own destiny. This is one of the proofs that in this world we are controlled by forces far greater and far more ancient than we are. Nations are caught by these creatures, whoever they are, at a time of weakness. Nations are caught at a time when they are either emerging from major wars or at a time when people are coming together to form a new nation or a new tribe or a new clan. And that is where the terrible cheetah will catch them.
You've had a remarkable life, not least because of the horrendous things that have happened to you. But there was one story you told me about what happened, I think it was in Soweto,
yes,
which encapsulates not just how easy it is to manipulate black people, but how easy it is to manipulate all people, because this is how it happens. when a journalist misquoted you and people believed it. Could you tell us that story?
The story is very simple, sir, and my life is just an ordinary life. First of all, after the Soweto unrest of 1976, all of us who had been supervisors in the various municipality installations which had been damaged during the unrest were called before a judge in Pretoria. The name of the judge was Justice Seli. Seli wanted all of us to give him a clear report of what we had seen take place and how the installations we were the supervisors of had been destroyed during the unrest. Many people were afraid of speaking at this inquiry, which was called the Seli inquiry. And we were promised that our names would remain anonymous. But when the inquiry was on, I noticed reporters at the inquiry in a place where they were not supposed to be. If the inquiry was to be held in camera, why then were there reporters there? And amongst the reporters was a white woman, Helen Zille. Now, I spoke to the judge, answering his questions, and then I said to the judge, protection for workers in Soweto is completely inadequate. Innocent workers are being beaten up and sometimes killed by the rioting youths. Can't more protection be supplied to those of our people who are willing to work? And this white woman went on to write in the Rand Daily Mail newspaper that I had said that the army should be called into Soweto to quell the unrest. Now, here was a white woman defying the orders of a judge, breaking the law with impunity almost. Of all the people who testified in that place, some of whom said worse things than I said, only my name was betrayed. And after that, my home was attacked by 500 or more school children. It happened in September 1976. My wife was raped. My children were beaten and injured. How they managed to escape, I don't know. And I was stoned and stabbed many times. And when I was lying on the ground completely helpless, petrol was thrown over me. And that was when I knew fear, sir. Because we African people believe that if you are burnt to death, not only is your body consumed by the flames, but your soul is destroyed as well. We believe that although a human being possesses an immortal soul within him or her, that soul can be destroyed by fire. How I escaped from that Holocaust, I do not know. something must have frightened these children. They all ran away and left me lying in my blood at the back of my house. And not a single one of the many neighbors I had, many of whom I had helped years before and weeks and months before with loans of money and gifts of food, not one of them moved to help me at that time.